Hello everyone, welcome back to my workshop. In this video we're going to take a look at the new DS-24 version 2. Now this video is probably going to be published in December 2024, in which case I wish you all a Merry Christmas and good flying in 2025. And as you can see, Monty the miniature dachshund here has got into the spirit of Christmas with the embarrassing Christmas jumper. And Monty says you should treat yourself to one of these for Christmas. Don't you, Monty? Yes. It's not going to be an in-depth look at the transmitter because Jeti uses common software and features throughout the range. So it's not going to be a look at it from scratch. What we'll do is look at what's different between this new version 2 and the version 1 transmitter. So without further ado, let's dive in and get close up to it. Wave bye-bye, Monty. Oop, there. He's waved bye-bye. Well, we'll start looking at the differences between them. First of all, the weight. Here's the original 24 and its little feet, and that's 1364 grams. And now the new 24, 1238 grams. So if we zero that, see the difference. Yeah. So the new transmitter is about 126 grams lighter, or I think that's about 4.5-ish ounces in real measurement. Right. Let's put that aside and get a bit of foam protection on the table so we can turn the transmitters around and have a look. We'll take a look at the external features first. What's different? We'll kick off around the back. Fold that up. Should protect the sticks. There we are. First thing you will notice, compared to the original 24, is that the side sliders have gone. What we have now is just the two switches and the buttons. The switches are easier to move than the original 24. That could be a bonus, that might be a minus for you. And they are a little bit bigger and easier for your finger to get on. The buttons also are considerably bigger. Can we see that on the camera? Yes. So not only are the buttons bigger, but the top button has a spike in the middle of it, which does make it very easy when your fingers are around the back and you can't see it to feel which button your fingers are on. As ever, the back case comes off. The transmitter is supplied with the Torx Allen keys to remove the screws. It's no longer wired to the main body, but instead has tiny little spring contacts to a PCB somewhere up at the top, so that when you take the back off you don't have cables to disconnect. The switches, although they look the same as the original 24, the way they connect to the transmitter is different, so you cannot take any custom switches off your original 24 and put them on this one. They have a solid 3-pin connector, a bit like a servo connector without all the housing, that pushes in as you push the switch into place. Jeti is designed for you to customize the switch layout to be what you want. You can move the switches around or get particular switches that suit you. For example, I'll have a locking toggle switch, which I use for things like the throttle lock, especially for electric models. But if you are taking the back plate off to get access to the switches, please do remember to earth yourself first. For instance, I have surface mounted power sockets in my workshop The case of them is earthed, so I touch those to make sure I'm earthed, and disconnect the battery. Inside you'll also find the SD card, where its mounting is in a much easier place to get to than on the original 24. It's right there on the surface for you. There's no need to take the back plate off now to adjust the stick tension on the springs or to adjust the throttle ratchets. That's all done from the front, and we'll get to that. It's a nice, neat new feature. Moving round to the side, we have the side sliders on both sides, but these are no longer in a recess as they were on the original 24. And these are designed to allow you to move them to any of the 4 angles. They come pointing upwards, as this one does, and I'll keep them that way, but by undoing the grub screw and taking it off, you'll find it can be repositioned here, here, or here. Although of course if you do that, do make sure you run the calibration in the software again to make sure it's actually picked up the correct centers and ends, because you could have put the slider on at a slightly different angle compared to its end stops. Moving on to the front, there's a plastic panel down here, and if you take the back plate off, you'll see inside there is a flat aerial. I'm not sure whether that's the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi, but it'll be something like that. Moving on, everything looks pretty much the same. The tiny little LED lights have gone. Instead we have a coloured ring around the power button, which comes on like this. And it has 3 different colours. When you're charging, it will show one colour. When it's fully charged, it will show another colour. And when the transmitter's on, it's green. And there is a menu in software to change the colours if you desperately want to. We'll switch that off just for a moment so the lights aren't taking place. The front knobs are quite a bit more chunky than the original 24, which had these ones. And apparently they're very easily changed for switches if you want it. Otherwise, switches, same. You'll be able to read in the instruction manual what the default switches are that it comes with. I make a couple of changes. As you can see, I've got the locking toggle here as my throttle lock, and the standard switch back here is a spring-loaded 2-position, but I change it for a 3-position spring-loaded switch, so it's sprung to the middle, but allows me to get some information pushed away from me and different sets of information pulled towards me. One of the big things here, of course, is the new screen. Quite a bit bigger than the original. Now, if we put them round that way, you might be able to see them. Physically, they're the same width, and the screen that shows up is the same width. What's different about the new screen is it's now deeper, so it's square instead of rectangular. And it's a finer resolution. Whereas the original is 320 by 160, the new screen is 480 by 480. So even though it's the same width, it's gone from 320 to 480 pixels. And that finer resolution allows them to put a little bit more information on the screen. But its new party trick is this. It comes with this little tool, which looks to be as if it's just a hex driver. There's a fine hex key there. But it has a magnet on the back. And that's not to make it handy in the workshop for sticking to things. It's to do this. You lift the rings from around the sticks. Like that. And inside here you can see the heads of screws, and there's also a small hole here and here where there's another screw head much deeper down, so you get it right down in there to do it. And these variously adjust your springs for each axis. They adjust on the throttle side, There's an end stop at idle and an end stop at full throttle. Not something I'm aware of, but I believe helicopter flyers do this. And the other thing is these two little screw heads deep down in there. One of them adjusts how strong your throttle ratchet is. But if you're a helicopter flyer and you don't want the ratchet, but you want the little bit of friction brake, the other one adjusts the friction. So it makes it very easy to adjust these without taking the back off. Very easy to try things, quick fiddle, there we are, it's rather than having to try it, turn it upside down, fiddle again, back, and I suppose if you fly helicopters and fixed wing and you do want a ratchet for your fixed wing but just a friction for your helicopter, it'd be very easy to put them on and off very quickly. There is a little locating peg on each one with a little hole in there in the ring. Pop it on, turn it round, there it clicks back into place. Click back in. They're held in magnetically, and that's it. One. I don't pretend to know what's going on with the internal electronics, but it's very clear that the new version of the DS-24 has faster, more powerful computing ability, and there's a very clear practical demonstration of the ability of this, and that's when you switch on the transmitter if it's heavily loaded with Lua apps. And I would suspect the same is true if you have large pictures on. If we have a look at the startup time of the original 24, in a model that only has a couple of small Lua apps running, in this case Dave McQueenie's short press long press switch and the RC Thoughts flight counter, it starts up pretty quickly. So we'll say yes. And there it is, running instantly. But the startup time could be greatly extended if you're running massive Lua apps. So I'm going to switch on both transmitters, both running exactly the same model with the same apps. They're running Dave McQueenie's instrument panel, because this is one of my jet models and I love watching the instrument panel for the turbine startup. But that app really does consume the available resources that are allowed for Lua apps. They're running the Dave McQueenie Maps app, which I find very useful, and on all my models I'm running Dave McQueenie's short press long press switch and the RC Thoughts flight counter. So look at the massive difference in startup times. Ready? Go. It's loaded and running. With this older transmitter we can go off and have that lovely espresso and a chocolate biscuit while we wait for it to load up. There it is. So just a little demonstration of the quite big difference in the speed of the computing in the new transmitter. Now let's have a look at the screen and the software. The obvious difference, as we've said before, is that this screen is square, so it goes deeper downwards towards the transmitter. The total height of the whole unit seems to be the same. We've still got the box with the name, and if you wanted a picture of your model, taking up a quarter of this screen, and unfortunately it is still there on every subsequent page. I have asked Jeti in the past about this, but they said it's so fundamental part of the software that it's a major rewrite just to take that out. The clock is no longer on the top line here. The option is there, but it removes other information. The software is what you're used to. It's common across the whole Jeti range, from the 12, 14, 16 to the 24 and the new 24. What you'll notice now is that each menu item has some of the sub-menus in it listed there. It just gives you a little hint if you're looking for something where it is in the total menu system. And everything looks pretty much as you would expect. If we come down here, we can see one of the new items, which is the built-in Bluetooth. If we go into that, and if we press the F3 button underneath the little rotating symbol, it'll go in and start looking for any Bluetooth devices it can find. I've tried pairing it to the soundbar I use in my workshop for music and to a pair of Bluetooth earbuds, and it picked them up instantly, paired to them, they're working, no problem. Something that isn't included yet is things like volume control for your Bluetooth. So you have to operate the volume control on the device itself, like your earbuds, if they've got something there. I assign a master volume to one of the rotary controls on my transmitter, which is particularly useful when I'm doing gliding and I've got the Vario running, things like that. You don't want it beeping away with other people on the flight line having to listen to it and the call outs of height. So I would regularly turn the volume up and down on my headphone, the wired headphone, so I could hear my model over all the background noise, and I could turn it down when nothing else was going on. Unfortunately, that doesn't work with the Bluetooth yet. Jeti tells me that it will be included in a future software update at some point, so I can rotate. For me, it would be P7, and it will turn down the Bluetooth volume. One of the new things you can do with your version 2.24 is Jeti Studio Mobile, available for your phone or I guess things like tablets. Now this came in with the DC version a little while ago, and of course it's now available on the new DS. It requires the Bluetooth, and you download the Jeti Studio Mobile app. So I'll get that started. Off it goes, and that's it, it's connected. Because I've previously paired up my phone with the transmitter, it finds it straight away. I don't need to do any further, it's auto connecting. And what it's showing there is, I'll try and move it back so the brightness doesn't swamp the camera. What it's showing there is some basic information which we've told it to display. You go into the little settings symbol up here and choose which items from telemetry you would like to be displayed there. But there are other forms of display. You can have it as a chart. For instance, here I'm showing the roll angle of a Rex receiver. Just hold it steady, and if I roll it, you can see the chart moving. Okay, instrument panel. We've got instruments. If I roll it, you'll see the artificial horizon rolling and pitching. If I rapidly move it, you can see the G-force moving. Trip recorder would of course wind upwards, and again you would press here and you can choose and add more types of gauges. And finally, press on the end button down here and you get the map. So it's calling up some map that's already installed on your phone. I don't know if it uses Google Maps, Microsoft Maps, whatever, but you don't have to install the maps. It's finding what's on your phone and puts you on there. Now there's nothing here that cannot be done on the transmitter screen. For instance, we've got the Maps app, which uses a Google map, although it's static, not dynamic like the one on your phone presumably is. And of course we've got instrument panel apps. The advantage to Jeti Studio Mobile is that if you have an assistant with you while you're flying, because perhaps you've got a particularly complex model that needs the telemetry monitoring, or you're doing a complex type of flight, perhaps a cross-country glider flight, something like that, then it's far easier for your assistant to monitor on the big screen that they can hold in front of them than trying to look over your shoulder at the screen that's in front of you. So it means they can see much more easily what's going on. So there's one difference again between the new 24 and the original. Down there I mentioned that the LED over a power button, you can, if you wish, change the default colours. That's about it for the new bit of software as far as I can see. Yes, the transmitter has Wi-Fi capability, hardware, whatever, built into it already, but the software for that is still not ready. And again, in some future update, that will be included. What will it do? Well, I'm just guessing it allows the transmitter to connect to your Wi-Fi to get things like its transmitter software updates. I've read speculation from people that this will be over-the-air updates of on-board devices like receivers and such like, but my guess is that it's not that, because that would probably require new receivers, etc. In case you're wondering what this is just a little film protector over the screen. I haven't removed it yet. I will be buying one of the proper screen protector films for it. And if you have things like your Lua apps, I'm not running a GPS at the moment, so there's no image there, but there we have the image from Instrument Panel. The Maps app did have an incompatibility with the new screen because it uses different drawing methods depending on whether it's putting up the map, the symbol of the aircraft and the track, no-fly zones, that kind of thing. And some items were offset, they were in the wrong position. So I've been able to provide Dave with the information on what it was doing, and he was able to work out how to correct it. So the Maps app now works, because if you've got the DC transmitter, you've had that for a little while, and there was this problem with the Maps app. It's now fixed. The update is available through the website as usual, and the view on the maps, as it is with Instrument Panel, is still the rectangular view based on the old screen. Dave might be able to find time one day to rewrite the app for Instrument Panel and Maps to fit the whole screen, which give you a bigger view, but that would involve rewriting the websites as well. So maybe one day, but no promises. So that's a really quick view through what is in the software. As I say, there's not much to report. It's just really the view that's changing. What have we got? Bluetooth has come in, and eventually we will get the Wi-Fi as well. So I think that's everything on the transmitter that's different to the old transmitter. If you get one, do enjoy it.